Hey, and welcome to another edition of the Wake Up Late with Dougie show. I'm your host, Dougie Almeida, coming to you from Simpsonville, South Carolina, where I'm blending in every day. It's been a couple of weeks. We're trying to get more of a regular show for you guys, and I'm trying to make my travel a little less than I've been traveling. But with all that said, glad to have a returning guest here and a longtime friend of mine back from South Florida, who's a movie star, martial arts expert, and just a great dude. Badass, funny guy, polite, loving. He's the complete package, Mr. Vince Cecere. What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys. How are you?
How are you?
Good to be here. Thanks, Doug. Thanks for having me back, man.
You got it, buddy. And, it's funny how, you think back, to the old days. Like, we pretty much grew up in South Florida, right? You were in Coconut Creek, right? And my first memory of you was at the old gym next to the London pub where I used to work out. And It's so funny, because you working out, he was a big dude, and that was back in my Taekwondo days when I'd warm up, I'd be throwing kicks and I'd be thinking, this guy's probably looking at me like, look at this fucking guy. He's doing his karate and shit in the gym,
You know what? I wasn't even into martial arts during that time. You were in way before me.
I don't know. I used to remember you in the white pants. I remember you used to come in with white pants and the gi bottoms. I think I remember you seeing in there.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the years of that, but I remember the gym quite well with Dunkin' Donuts and shopping.
Yeah, right around the corner. And I try to remember the guy who owned it, the big fella, and his wife.
That was
oh
God, was it the German kid?
Yeah.
Remember the guy had the big neck? He dropped 550. Remember, he snapped his solar plate. Marco Krauts. Big Marco. The guy in high school was the same size he was when he was 40. When he got Coconut Creek High School, the guy walked him out. Coach Humphreys walks him out and says, Vinny, this is going to be your first match. And I was a little skinny Italian kid back then. And this gorilla comes walking out. I said, forget about it. What are you crazy? This guy was like 300 pounds and had like a 52-inch chest in high school. I mean, if he was an animal. He broke his sternum, and within 6 weeks, he was benching 550 again. He was a complete animal, Marco Krauts.
Yeah. And you think about that, like, so you mentioned when you get started. What got you started in the martial arts?
I owned a nightclub where the Hard Rock Casino is, across the street there, where Pepper Tree Plaza there?
Yeah.
There was a club called Club Illusions, which was the number one Latin club in Dayton, Broward County. And I had 12-piece orchestra, live stuff. My guys were all in tuxedos. And Morty Brown had a place called Studio 51 over on Oakland Park Boulevard. That was a Latin club that had a 1:30, they closed 2 o'clock, everybody out. I had a 4 a.m. variance. So the guys, I get 2-hour push, everybody all drunk and trying to get that last drink. And 2 of the guys that are band leaders had a beef, started at Morty's joint and it carried over into my club. The guy walked onto stage and stabbed the guy in the neck with a knife right on stage in front of 1,200 people. And the arterial blood started shooting out. And I had a bunch of big guys like that we used to know. And I always thought, if you got a guy that can bench 500 pounds, everything will be okay. It's not true. I seen them run away. And I remember the very next day, that night, the guy got stabbed. We didn't know what to do. I had already still had my CCW. I was armed, but you got 1,200 people in the room. What are you, Wyatt Earp? What are you going to pull it out? You know what I mean? What are you thinking? So the guy, when he jumped back off the stage, he's swinging the knife, and we just bum rushed him, knock him down. I step on his hand. As a martial arts instructor today, I would say I was an incredibly lucky idiot
Yeah.
that I didn't
Yeah.
get cut or stabbed.
Yeah.
Thank
What do you,
God.
what do you do in a situation like that? It's like I've been in a couple situations like that where, it's you could see what's happening. That's one of the questions I'm going to get to here. But yeah, and then there's people that'll jump in. There's people that'll run. I mean, let's face it. You know what I mean? And that happened. That reminds me, like my buddy Pete, my buddy Petey Lenny, Pete. He was a band member, and I guess they were performing on the beach in Fort Lauderdale. And I'm trying to remember his name now. Pagano was the guy's name. I think the guy in the
Mm.
band. But there was an argument between a girl and the guy said, "Hey, man, calm down." The guy ended up slicing his throat and killing him. I think it's right near the elbow room or something like that. And so it's amazing.
Yeah, the elbow.
Life can change just like that. So that's why you decided, you say, you know what, I need to learn how to handle this situation a little bit.
Oh, as soon as it all calmed down and we got the guy, you know, and we got him cuffed and got everything done, I fired everybody, all the bouncers. I took them all. I said, all you guys are fired. You're all useless. Got rid of everybody. I talked to my head bartender. This guy's he did some ninjutsu when he was a kid. So I said to him, I said, do you know, I said, you talk about this martial arts. Do you know anything about martial arts? He goes, no. I said, I'd like to check into it. I said, because I don't ever want to get into a situation like this again. You could shoot the guy. You got the gun, but you can't. You might as well sign the club over to his family because they're going to own it. You know? So uh, uh, the he says to me, I'm going to look up, and he found a place. He says, there's no ninjutsu, but I found this thing called jujitsu. And this is how long ago it was. Nobody even knew the word jujitsu. Today, you say jujitsu, everybody says, oh, Gracie.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Synonymous. BJJ.
yeah.
Back then, nobody knew the word jujitsu. Um, I said, well, what is this jujitsu? He goes, supposed to be like ninjas. Let's go down. So I got on my F1Z. He got on my motorcycle. We went down there, walked into the dojo, seen these guys in the gis. One guy in a candy stripe belt, which I know is a Shihan belt now, fifth degree. He was teaching the class. This is Grandmaster Leone Velasquez, one of the greatest martial artists I've ever had the privilege of ever being around, and teacher. Uh, and I told him what happened, and I need to know how to. If this happens to me, how do I prevent it? Which was the point of the question. So he
Yeah.
said, "What happened?" I said, "The guy did this." He said, "Okay." He goes, "You and you come up here." He goes, "Get a tanto, get a tanto." I don't know what a tanto is. What the hell? Guy, and these two guys attack him, and he handles both of them, takes the knives, and I only asked him about one. He took two, and then he took their knife. He had them on the ground, and he had it like he was manicuring their nail, playing. You know what I mean? Like that's how easy it was. And I said, "Get out of here! That's a setup. Nobody is gonna take away a knife that easy from somebody and let no."
Right.
I said, "Do it to me." So he said, "What?" I just did a level 3 show, the Gold Coast. I did it was a pre-national qualifier for level to get up into national, and that was like 2 weeks before. So I was a beast when I walked in that place, and he says, he goes, "Okay." I take the knife. He goes, "Just come." And I went like what the guy did. I still don't know the move that he did to me. All as I know is it was an enlightening moment because I was completely, he stole my mind. He completely disorientated me. He completely disarmed me, controlled the situation, controlled the weapon. And to me, that rang like Mozart.
Yeah.
It was the most, you can't, until you get, uh, until you've been in the ring. Yeah, guys don't understand until you really get hit. I'm trying to show them
Yeah.
what it's like. You know, uh, until you've been in the ring and you get hit, well, not the ring, the streets, and you really been hit, you don't know what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
If you can
You know,
survive the hit, then you take care of business. But if you don't, you're knocked out cold. Bad things are gonna happen.
yeah. It's what Mike Tyson's famous quote. Everybody has a plan until they get hit. And
It's
you know, I,
true.
I learned that. I learned that. You know, I started the martial arts because I had three older brothers during the time of Bruce Lee, and they all started taking martial arts. And you know, and of course, I started and got into it. And you know, you people, you know, it's so funny. It's always in that beginning stage. Everybody thinks I'm going to learn how to, you know, I'm going to learn how to fight. And you know, to me, I always tell people that are learning, I said, the key to martial arts isn't learning how to fight, it's not being fearful of the fight. It's basically having that composure, right? Because I still remember to this day somebody when I was fighting Muay Thai, and I think it was after my third fight, and I won. And the guy says, "Do you smile the whole fucking fight, dude? Every time I see you, you're smiling in the ring. Like, how do you?" I'm like, I learned that. I just like the more you smile, it pisses off your opponent because they're like, "What the hell is this guy thinking?" You know,
It's
this
true.
guy's smiling.
That
You know
is
what I mean?
true.
And but you're keeping that composure, right? Like, how important is that? Like, if you're in a situation, life threatening situation, God forbid, or you know, you're out and you go into your car, and all of a sudden, you realize this is a dangerous situation. Somebody's coming at you and stuff. You know what is
Mm.
that advice? What is that? Whether somebody has the physical ability or not, what is that advice? You know, what is that first thing that somebody really must have to survive?
I would say to you, if that was a student asking that question, I would say to them that you'd have to be more specific with me. Let me break it down. Let's say you're walking with your wife and kids, and there's a guy being a certain way. You're carrying precious cargo with you that cannot be replaced and should never be put in jeopardy ever. Better to lower yourself, walk away. Want your wallet? Give it to him. Now, you ask for something I can't comply with, we got to switch gears.
Yeah, let's say you're by yourself, you know, and you realize the guy's going to come and you know it's confrontational. You could tell, you know what I mean. And then, you know, what I mean, was that?
I'll give you a scenario that happened to me. I got two of my black belts with me, and I'm in the gym. I just come out of the steam room, and I'm going to jump in the ice pool. And some big 6'5" Armenian guy who thinks he runs the show walks up to me and says, "You shower? You shower?" I said, "Excuse me? You gonna go in the pool?" I said, "Yes, I'm going in the pool." "You shower?" I said, "You want to take a shower?" "Yeah, the shower's over there. Go take a shower." He said, "No, no, you, before you go in the pool, you take shower." I go, "No." He goes, "Well, I have to put my face in there." I said, "I'm sure your face has been in a lot worse places."
Yeah.
And then he says, "You know, there are rules here." Now he's got no idea what I am. He doesn't even realize that two of my black belts are sitting right behind him. So he's in such deep crap that he doesn't know it because he's so ego charged, and all he sees is he's a 6'5" guy. So he says, "Well, there's rules." I said, "What are you, the pool police? Why don't you get out your ticket book and write down in your little ticket book, this guy didn't take a shower, then roll it up tight, stick it up your ass." And then I dove in the pool. He walks away and goes, "Asshole." Now that was my moment right there to come out of the pool and say, "Don't say asshole going over there. Say asshole right here." But I didn't because my two black belts are there. And what I do is how they're going to act. So
Yeah.
I diffuse the situation, make the guy look like an asshole. He's completely wrong. And my two students are like, "Does that guy have any idea what he was doing?" I said, "Evidently not." So
Yeah.
now he's losing his mind, Doug. He goes in and out the steam room screaming, banging shit because nobody paid attention. He didn't get what he wanted. So he's losing his shit. We go into the locker room. Now, there's showers. The lockers are here, and then you go around and there's the showers, usually in the gym. So we're in the locker room, and we get back changed, and we hear him in the shower still screaming, call all these profanities, not my name, but evidently the situation, he's still super pissed. One of my students is using my stick to page your keychain, and he starts to do a technique with it, and with the other guy in the room, the two black belts I was telling you about. So when I came out of I went over to the stall. I came back out. I see them doing it, and I said, "No, you need to do it like this. Let me show you." And I do it a couple times slow. I said, "But let me show you how it needs to be done when you actually do it." And right as he starts to move, I unleash with a barrage, and I go, and then you stick this right in his throat. The guy turned the corner the minute I threw the first hit and watched me unload on this kid. Mikey caught his face when he was all, and then he see me go, and then he goes,
Yeah.
And then he goes in the corner, gets his stuff out, and squirries away. And my man goes, "That guy just saw his future, man. Xian, he saw his future."
Or his potential
So
past.
that was a real situation.
Yeah.
It could have went terrible. Now, go back to my Neanderthal days before I was really into martial arts. I would have just slapped him and threw him in the pool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even talk to him.
Somebody once asked me that because in my earlier, like in days, like because I'm only 5'8", 5'9", right? And you learn what that's the thing. Once you know what you can do, you're not going to be just unless you're an asshole, right? Let's face it. Sometimes in martial arts, we do have ego, people with egos. But I remember that imbalance every once in a while. Like I'd be at a club, and somebody would say something, and a big guy usually, and they get in your face and stuff. I always had my favorite move to kind of like this. If I would try to talk out of it with humor, but my favorite move was the bitch slap, and I love the bitch slap because it would happen so fast, and it would happen with no warning that the person would hopefully go, "Holy shit." You know what I mean? Like, do I really want to, you know what I mean? So that was something I used every once in a while when I just wanted to whoa, the guy, I'm like, look, next time I'm closing my fist, and next time, yeah, you know what I mean? Next time I'm closing my fist, I'm going to put a little of my right leg back into it. You know what I mean?
Doug,
so
when the old timers used to do that. Remember the old timers, all the old Italians, they come out, you do something, they give you a slap in the face, and you'd be like, "Holy mackerel, what the?"
Have you ever seen that the slap match where the guys stand in front of
I
each
think
other?
it's the dumbest thing ever created.
Right?
You know what, though? The guys that participate deserve to be slapped.
Yeah. Who signs up for that shit? And never have I seen an event or a competition where the coin flip means so much. Who goes first? You know what I mean? Like this is worse than the old days of football.
It's true.
Right? Like in football, I remember like in extra overtime, they flip a coin and somebody get the ball and get a field goal. That was it, right? In the slap fight, if you win the toss, you know what I mean? Like, all right, I guess I'll go first.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's an amazing sport.
Yeah. And, I think, it's like anything. It's like that old expression in Spider-Man, with great power comes responsibility, right? And that's
Sure.
just something that a lot of times when I taught martial arts and ran a school, parents like, I don't want my kid to be, a ruffian and stuff. Like, well, look, that's not just up to us. We're going to teach him how to do it, but it's going to be his ultimate decision, what he's going to do with this. You know what I mean? Hopefully we can spot it if he becomes an asshole, and that kind of thing, but it's just, you never know. But listen, nowadays, I don't know why anybody would get into a fight. I would just assume 80% of the time, whoever's getting into it is probably knows some sort of jujitsu nowadays, or some sort of martial art. Like, and to me, it's amazing when you see some of these people fight, like in these videos on social media, like these two guys or somebody will get in a fight. Like, who taught these guys to fight? They look like they're catching butterflies. Like,
it's a completely different thing, as you know, in the real world in the streets. It's a completely different thing than being in an arena where you got doctors and rings and refs and time, and no weapons are going to sneak out anywhere. Two of his buddies aren't going to jump in over and hit you with a chair. there's a whole lot of things going on you got to be thinking about with your environment, and you know what the guy knows. To me, is everybody, like you said, knows something now. You know, but
Yeah.
can they do it? You
Right.
know, like you can do it in the dojo.
Yeah.
Let's see how you do here on the asphalt.
Yeah.
No mats, no pads, no gear, no shin guards, no nothing, and you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
Let's see how you do. This is not you're not here to practice knitting.
Yeah. One of my,
No,
my
it's true
favorite lines.
because these guys are all in a ring. In a ring, a guy asked me if I've ever did a cage match. I said no. I was offered once a pachanga when they first got started and they built the first thing, and after they got the high stakes and they decided to do this cage match. A guy offered me 50 grand, win or lose, doesn't matter. You're going to get a payday 50,000. Just show up. He goes, even if the last 2, 3 rounds, it's good entertainment, Vinny. I said, no, I don't do that. He said, I don't understand. You can handle yourself. The guy can handle himself. Nobody's going to get hurt. I said, pal, you want to give a guy 50 grand, it's going to do $200,000 in damage to another human being. His hospital bill is going to be more than that. My hospital bill is going to be more than that.
Yeah.
Because 2 guys are not going to let the other guy hurt him. There's no way in the world. Look, Doug, you're. Let's say you're the greatest sportsman of all time, but you take a shot and you're a little twilighted now, and now he's coming in for the kill. You're going to shift gears to assassination mode, pal. You're not going to be the same guy going, come
Yeah.
on, let's fight for points. No,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Yeah. How quickly things can change
Yeah.
in that kind of situation. Yeah, absolutely. What Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Like, yeah, there's one thing to learn it, right? One of my favorite lines in a Bruce Lee movie was "Boards don't hit back." When the guy's
Mm,
breaking the boards, because
yeah.
boards don't hit
Bob
back.
Wolf.
Yeah, and you know it. That's the thing, and it's like I studied in Taekwondo, right? And it was funny. There was WTF, ITF, and then there was ATA. ATA was an American freestyle kind of Taekwondo, and it was funny because had a friend of mine that got his black belt shortly after I did, and he was like, oh, and he was like talking shit a lot, and he was taller guy, blonde haired kid, he was like, oh, I'm a black belt, and I'm like, oh, he's a black belt, it's pretty good. And then I found out with ATA, their sparring had no contact. In
Mm.
ATA, they don't have contact sparring. They do almost like the point thing and shit. I'm like, well, hold on a second, dude. Wait a minute. You never been hit. Like that is a big difference, right? Like, it's just a
Oh,
big difference when you have to deal with being hit with comp, because that's it. You can, like, I remember in some of my fights in Muay Thai, I remember there's one guy, Pancho. This kid was like 300 pounds, 6'2". Like, he used to be a lineman for the University of Tampa football team when I fought him. It was my third professional fight. And I swear, to this day, I think I got this carpal tunnel in my hand because I think that I hit this guy so many times, you know. And what this guy, third round, the guy finally hits me, and I swear to God, I thought my head, like, oh my, I can't have that happen again. You know what I mean? Like, this can't happen. This just cannot happen again. You know what I mean? I hit this guy 1,000 times, and this guy hit me once, and I feel like retiring. Um, you know it's amazing, like, the choices we make. Like, you mentioned this about that. Like, I think about, like, all the years of martial arts and everything, even to this day. I feel like, I don't mean, maybe I don't know how physically I'm, like, just the mental, like, I guess the composure of being able to keep my hands and just defend myself. I'm not going to be doing no spinning hook kicks. I'm going to do some chokes and some sweeps and shit like that. But I think about it. I'm like, you know what? I think back to my injuries now and all the aches and ailments I have. I'm like, maybe I should have just played chess. You know?
ah, well, a good martial artist is a chess player.
Yeah, exactly. So let me ask you some of the questions here, and let me ask you. And then again here. By the way, I want to let our viewers know that, again, martial arts, master in jujitsu, and an
American old
actor.
school jiu-jitsu.
And exactly, and you're a stunt man, you're an actor. And by the way, Ben, play this clip from the movie clip. Analyze is it this or that? I can't remember. It was the first one or the second one, but
First
with
one, the
Billy
good one.
Crystal,
Analyze
with Robbie
this.
De Niro. Yeah, run that clip.
Our hitman is Vince Cecere, living in Florida, but he came from the Bronx. He's a stuntman and not a bad actor.
Better. One thing or the other. Wouldn't want to see that at all. That is
in sickness and in health, from this day forth, as long as you both shall live.
Wow. Now I'm hoping that wasn't you on that fall.
No, that was Tom Cruise's stunt guy, man. That was Keith.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the best. I tried to do the fall because the gag paid 5 G's. And when I met
Really,
with the
just
guy, I was with Al Raymond. It was a 90-foot. It's called Terminal Velocity. It was the Bal Harbor Sheraton night. It was the top floor presidential suite. So it's 90-foot drop into a 10-foot airbag. So when we went to do it, that fight scene, they're sitting over there scratching their head because they didn't know what to do. And I can't remember the coordinator's name, but he said to me on the side, they don't know what to do with the scene. I said, what do you mean you don't know? And then Harold says, we're trying to make it look like Jelly's got a tiger by the tail and doesn't know what to do with it. And I said, I have an idea. And I pulled a stunt guy and I told him everything, how we should do it. He goes, that's fantastic. Then he goes, and I walk behind him not to be a jerk. I stay with him in his flank, and he presents it to De Niro and to Harold Ramis and Jelly. They're all there now, and the second guy, and first second. They're sitting there, and he says, "This is how we want to do it." And they go, "Oh, that's great! Yeah, what a great idea!" He goes, "Okay, let's do it." The guy never says anything like, "Oh, Vince just set this whole thing up. He's the one who gave me the idea, and he set up. He's the one who." He never says a word. I hit him. I went like that. Oh. He goes, "Oh yeah, Vince. Vince is the one who set it up."
Yeah.
Right? Wait. Yeah, just to get your bump, you got to even fight there. You're already on the set, for God's sake. So now I say to Jelly, I said, Joe Vitarelli, rest in peace. I said, Joe, here's what we're going to do. You want this to be real? A guy like you, let's face it. You're 270-pound, 72-year-old, overweight alcoholic with a glass eye. There's no way in the world you're going to get me without a weapon. So I go, get a blackjack. Get a blackjack. When I come in, you crack me in the head a couple of big shots. Bing, bang, boom, with that black shot. And now I'm out of it. And then you can manhandle me, throw me into the glass, do the thing. He goes, what's a blackjack?
It's 21 at casino.
You know what a blackjack is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The
Cops used to carry blackjacks in their back pocket that were flat ones, and they give you a crack on the head to straighten you out. Remember? They always had one. But gangsters, you remember the movie when they took Michael Corleone down, they gave him the gun, they said, here's the tape on the gun, pull the trigger, don't forget to drop it. I got that with a blackjack. The old man checked me out, and he says, Vinny, when you go do this piece of work, don't use your hands because the human body can take all this. Take this blackjack and you crack that guy 2 good shots, then he's a piece of cake. And he was right. It did work very well. So it translated into the movie.
Where we learn our shit. That's great. Yeah,
So
and then
it worked that great. But they wouldn't let
So
me do the jump because I wasn't a high-rated guy and it's terminal velocity.
yeah,
And
that's a
when they interviewed me on Channel 10 with Lisa Petrillo, remember that show? Remember them way back when? Channel 10? Glenn Rinker and them. So she interviewed Lisa Patrol interviewed me. He says, you were going to do the jump, you were going to do the fall. Bobby thought I was out of my mind. He goes, you were going to do the fall? I said, I need the money.
Yeah, well, and until you get up there, it's like I remember the high dive in Margate Pool, Royal Palm.
Yes.
Remember in Margate they had the what is it, the Royal Palm Pool, right? They had the low
Royal
diving
Palm
board.
Pool.
They had the low diving
Yep.
board and the high diving board, and you think I'm going to do the
I
high
fell
dive,
off
and
that
then
once.
you go up there, you're like, oh shit, I can't walk back down now. And remember, like people would go up there and get scared; they'd have to go back down these stairs. And you remember
No
it was
doubt.
like people fell off those stairs. They were like metal, aluminum, and you had
Yes.
you could slip going up them. You know what I mean? And oh my God, the Margate! I just remember that unbelievable shit. Yeah, like I never had fear of heights, but now at my age now, I can't like I can't do it. It's like amazing how when you get older, you lose all that bravado, you lose all that all that I'm invincible and indestructible thing.
I think a lot of that has to do with as we age, our TRT goes down. Your test.
Yeah. Without a doubt, without a doubt. De Niro, in that scene, it's funny. Harold Ramis, who's narrating that, says he was talking about you. He's like, and not a bad actor. I mean, was that kind of like a, when he says that? I remember when I watched the clip. He's like, yeah, not a bad actor. I'm like, well, come on,
No,
man.
because he thought I was just a stuntman. Nobody, like when I got the role, they thought I was a stuntman primary.
Yeah,
That's, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Now, was that your first big?
listen,
That was your first big role or breakout role? Because that was the first movie I think I remember, like major movie. Because I remember when I watched the movie, I go, oh shit! I was with my then girlfriend, late wife. I'm like, that's Vince. That's Vince. It's so funny.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was really that one got me a lot of time. And then I did a part in The Crew with Richard Dreyfuss and Burt Reynolds, where I played a wise guy, and I do a stunt where Richard Dreyfuss is narrating. They freeze on my face like this on the screen for like 8 seconds while he explains the Jew thing didn't work out, and my face is like this, and I'm jumping through the air. Between those two movies, that's when I decided to make the jump to LA, because now I had some screen time.
Yeah, because it's always amazing to make that decision. It's like now, I live here in Simpsonville, South Carolina, and when my wife passed away, a lot of my friends are like, people are like, move back to South Florida. I'm like, no, I'm not going to move back to South Florida. It's amazing how when you leave somewhere, you realize how you different it is elsewhere, But I am looking at buying a place in Austin, Texas for comedy. So as we speak, I'm looking for a second place, to do something there. Here's a question for you, Vince. What was your first rock concert?
Oof.
Or concert?
I think it was Carl Gardner and the Coasters.
Who the hell is that? Yeah, and that wasn't at the Hollywood Sportatorium.
It was. Yes, I think it was, or at Sunrise. The Hollywood Sportatorium. I think I saw Foghat there. I might have went once with Foghat. I don't remember. I was young, and they were all smoking dope in the car. So by the time I got there could have been Shirley Temple could have been on the stage. I wouldn't have known.
God, the Hollywood Sportatorium. What a venue! Like
I'll tell you, when I had my club in Margate that we talked about with the knife, the Sportatorium was still open, and Metallica played there. The lead guy from Metallica, the drummer from Metallica, shows up with a couple of roadies, and I guess the guy is his handler. He's wearing jeans, no shoes, and no shirt. This is in Margate, in Coconut Creek, in the Pepper Tree Plaza. The other two guys have T-shirts on and jeans, okay? And then the one guy's dressed. So they come up and they say, we want to come in here. That guy says, we're in tuxedos. This is a first-class place. He says, you can't come in here dressed like that. And so they said, who's the owner of this joint? So they call me. They said, get Vinny. I go, come over. Yeah, what's up? He goes, you know who this is? I go, no, I don't know who this is. He goes, this is the drummer from Metallica. He goes, he really wants to come in your club and hang out. I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Guys, you're not dressed right." He goes, "No, you don't understand. If we don't get this guy in there, he's going to make my life miserable. He wants to go in there." I said, "Pal," I said, "how much that guy made on his last record?" He said, "Over 30 million copies they sold." I said, "He couldn't afford a pair of shoes and a shirt."
Exactly.
I said, "Go over there. There's a mall. Get a shirt, pair of shoes, and then you be my guest and I'll comp you." Okay? The guy says, "No, you don't understand." The Metallica guy. I still don't know his name. But on the four shirt, they got a famous shirt with four of them on it, four faces.
Yeah.
I pointed out the face to the guy. He goes, "No, that's definitely him." I said, "No, that's the guy right there." He says to me, "No, you're going to let me in this joint." I didn't know they were high as a kite. You know what I mean? I didn't know whether he was dropped acid or whatever they were doing. But I'm gonna let him in there now. You know what I mean? I said to him, "Buddy, there's only one way you're gonna get in this club tonight. It's if you pull out one of those black credit cards and you buy it. And you can come in and you can keep tonight's receipts. Otherwise, I don't care who you are, you ain't getting in this club." That was my big Metallica moment.
Lars. Yeah, he's not a big fella either. Let me ask you another question. What makes a
Is that
good
his name,
handshake?
Lars? Is that his name?
Yeah,
The
Lars.
drummer?
Yeah, Lars. What makes a good handshake?
That is a very good question for men. Firm handshake and look him in the eye. The worst thing I hate, it's the most disrespectful thing when a guy introduces me to somebody and I don't want to say club owners in the big clubs, somebody will introduce you and they give you the handshake and they go and it's a limp piece of noodle and then they go like this. "Yeah, how you doing?"
Yeah,
I just want to go. I just want to slap you right in the face and say, now look at me, so you know who slapped you.
Yeah.
I hate that. Very
Yeah,
disrespectful.
it's huge. I was at a comedy club. I was at the LA Comedy Club in Vegas, and there was a comic in the green room. And and I've met him in the past, and he's from San Francisco. And the headliner that I'm working with says, "Hey, you know each other?" And I said, we're going to shake his hand. I'm like, "Hey, I'm looking at him," and he does that. He goes like, "Yeah, hi." And I'm like,
Oh,
and I held his hand. I like gripped it harder, and he goes, he wanted to let go, and I held it. And I go, "Hey, dude," I go, "when you shake a man's hand, you need to look at him. If you look down or to the side, you're basically calling me a fucking asshole." And the guy's, "Oh, I don't
very.
like looking people. I don't like looking at people in the eyes." I'm like, "Well, you may want to work on that shit, dude." Yeah, I agree with you 100%. You got to look at me in the eyes when you shake my hand. Otherwise, don't shake my hand.
Moses Powell had a saying: "A man can always see a man."
Absolutely. Um, let's see. Do you have well, I asked you this earlier a little bit. What was your favorite or most memorable TV show or series?
I got to tell you, $6 Million Man was one of the greatest. I love that show. And he was at the Hollywood show recently with the both of them, the Bionic Woman and Lee Majors, here in Burbank. He had some line. He looks great still.
Really?
But $6 Million Man. I like SWAT, the original SWAT, Beretta.
Yeah, I remember Beretta.
God, and one of my all-time favorites of all time is All in the Family. I mean, just forget about it.
Yeah. Couldn't make it today. That TV show. Couldn't make it today. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go right to the story with a question, but I have to ask you. Here's a story. During man goes on honeymoon without wife after her sister goes into labor during wedding. Was I supposed to sit at home? Under this circumstance, do you go if your wife has to stay because her sister's going pregnant? Do you stay home with her, or do you go on your honeymoon by yourself?
You postpone it.
Yeah, there you go. She has a true
It's not
gentleman
a
right there.
honeymoon, it's a trip. You just took the
Yeah.
definition out.
Yeah, you're going by yourself,
That's a trip.
Uh,
That's not a honeymoon.
yeah. There was another story that recently too that the guy, I guess the wife, there were there that the husband, the man was going to his daughter's birthday, and his new wife, the stepmother to the daughter,
Hmm.
wanted like 15 minutes to board the flight. She goes to a different terminal to go to Starbucks. She doesn't make it back. He gets on the flight. That scenario, your daughter's birthday, she knows she leaves 15 minutes. She doesn't, you probably tell, where you going? You got no fucking time. You got to get, we got a fucking plane. I'll be back. You get on the plane?
Oh, this is going to be a tough one. I don't have a daughter, so I'm going to go from. I'm going to use that off ramp. But here's what I'm going to say. I got grabbed going through LAX, and we were on our way to Hawaii. And it was, my sister-in-law and a brother-in-law, my sister, my brother-in-law, and my wife and I. So I forgot to take out one of my loaded magazines out of one of my bags because, I'm always on. I got guns everywhere. So I left a magazine loaded with 9mm rounds in one of my bags that I didn't clear it all the way, and it was going through. And then all of a sudden, I get surrounded by like 9 guys at the airport in suits, and those people are all looking at the screen. They call everybody over. Everybody's looking. They pull my bag on the side. I'm like, "What? They find a nuclear bomb? What is this over here? What the heck?" So the guy comes over and he says, "Sir, it'll just be a minute." And I said, "It'll be a minute for what? Just give me my bag." He goes, "No, someone's coming to talk to you, sir." I said, "Someone's coming to talk to me." I said, "Talk to me about what?" He says, "Well, is there something in your bag that you're not supposed to have?" I said, "Well, by the way you guys are acting, it ain't 2 ounces of shampoo."
Yeah.
He would have just took it. So my wife comes over and looks at me. She goes, "What's going on?" She says, I said that evidently I probably left one of my magazines. I think I got bullets or something in the bag. They didn't tell me yet, but common sense tells me that's the only thing it could be. The cop comes over. He tells me, "Yeah, that's what it is." I said, "Guys, in my bag, right next to the magazine, is my badge and my ID. Read it. And my FAA safety counselor ID." So he goes, "Oh." My wife walks over to get back to the question and goes, "If you go to jail, I'm going to Hawaii, and I don't care. If you don't make this flight, I'm not missing it."
well, at least we know what she would do.
So I'm going to leave it there. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect.
I would never
All right.
leave my wife anywhere for any reason.
Yeah, I hear you on that, dude. All
It
right,
was
let's
her
get to.
birthday trip, by the way. That's what made it
Oh,
comment, because it was a birthday trip.
oh, that's fun. Yeah, I think I had a similar situation. I drove to Florida, and but I was leaving my car down there, like an extra car, just leaving Florida, and I forgot I brought my gun with me and shit. So I'm heading to the airport, and I have my what do you call it? My man purse, my merce, and I'm heading to the airport, and I got my pistol in there with two clips in it. I'm like, oh shit. I can't, what am I going to do? And I had to go online real quick and go. So I had, and I didn't tell them. So I had to put it in my check bag. I had to check my carry on, and I had to tell them. I had to go there. Look, this and that. No, you can't. I guess the laws are you just can't put a clip or ammo even in a bag. You can, if you can put a gun in a
No,
check
it's got
bag.
to be in the container.
It's got to be in the ammo box or whatever you bought it in and shit like that.
That's
And a
correct.
gun has to be in a lock box. It has to be locked up and shit. So I
And
had
the
to go.
magazine must be out of it.
Yeah. So I ended up taking the bullets and just taking them out and say, I have a friend that's still here. I'll give them to him. And I ended up just throwing them in the garbage, for God's sakes, my clips. But anyway, all right, it's time for Did You Hear? This is where we talk about stories from around the world, go through them, and somehow we try to make fun of them or at least relate to them. First story, New Jersey couple just sitting in their backyard when a massive object falls from the sky out of nowhere. Big chunk of ice. And yeah, could you imagine? I guess I just heard too recently. This morning they're suing. But Paul and Sabrina Gomez were sitting in the backyard, their Patterson home, around 9:30 night. The projectile came out of nowhere and left a gaping hole in the roof. Whew. Not a fun thing.
Where'd it come from? Just one piece of ice?
Yeah. It's
Not
the
a
FA.
hailstorm, just one lonely piece of ice just landed in their house.
It's like the size of a horse head. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess it had come from an airplane. Yeah, it came off like somehow come off an
Broke
airplane,
off the wings or something, condensation.
or just they came. Sometimes they have those toilet like and they're up high. They drop the water out of the
But
toilet or something and it freezes and shit. Can you imagine a big old dunk of shit falls on you?
they did a story on that in Florida. The houses by Weston, when they were landing, they were hitting the side of the buildings with all the crap.
Who wants to live next to an airport for God's sake?
I know.
Not sure you're a fan of the Patriots, but Bill Belichick, 72-year-old, is dating a 24-year-old former cheerleader, and who can blame him? I don't know. Like I don't poo poo on anybody's parade, but if I was 72 and had a 24-year-old, God bless me. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna get
So
jealous of it, right? I mean, some people get mad, like, oh, who gives a shit? It's like me
who are
now.
you mad at?
Yeah, exactly. You're mad at
Which
yourself
one?
because you're mad at
Which
you.
one?
Yeah, the other person's mad at themselves because they're not bringing home a 24-year-old.
Right.
Now,
And she's driving a Bentley. That's what I'm saying. Who's the one complaining? The person that doesn't have the sugar daddy, or the person that doesn't have the young girl? One of them two are complaining because these two are happy.
They look happy to me.
Yeah.
And this whole dating thing, like I'm single for the first time after 30 years, Vince, and like I'm still not ready to do anything. I'm actually just maybe starting to go out, like go do things with people, but there's no romance. But oh my God, dude, listen, all I know is I'd be better prepared to get in the ring, okay, with Conor McGregor than I am dating right now. Okay. I just don't have the game, dude. The patience, the interest. I tell a joke. I'm like, I don't give a shit about pussy anymore. I could walk through a room of naked women just to get to a charcuterie board with prosciutto on it. You understand what I'm saying? You know what I mean? That's what I want to do. I don't,
I
So
understand.
God bless Bill Belichick. And here's another story. Chris Martin from Coldplay stops the show after a comic tries to rush the stage wrapped in an Israeli flag. Now you've done some stand up. You've been on stage. You remember you were doing some comedy there for a while. And now as a fellow your size, did you ever get heckled? Did you ever have somebody try to jump on stage and Will Smith you?
Never, but I did have. And I don't think it's just the size. It may be my demeanor has something to do with it too. But the Bronx accent kind of tells you I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I would say the worst room I ever worked was in Florida. They had a place called Krabby Jack's on 4th. You remember that place? And you remember Francis Biddleman, Frankie V? Do you remember this guy? 550-pound guy that had the fat. He had his whole body reduced and had the staple surgery. His name is Francis Biddleman, but he goes as Frankie V. And he was the one who had the club there, and they were bringing 3 comics in. And he went up, and there were bikers there from like the State Cycle Club or something. There was like 20 of them in there drinking, and they were hammered. And I was like third. And Frankie goes up there, he starts to talk, and they start to call him fat and this, and they tell him, hey, my motorcycle tire can fit in the crack of your ass. And I mean, they're really abusing him. And this poor guy is almost in tears. And he goes, all right, come into the next stage. He brings the next guy up on stage. This guy goes up on stage, and he's a young Jewish guy trying to be like Seinfeld in this crowd. So, and his thing was, he had a trench coat, he had a little hat, and he's like, is this 2B? Is that 2B? He's like imitating them. And they start going, hey, Jew boy, get your ass off there. We're going to kick your ass. And that, like, he's in tears. And they got him scared, And he's like, no, I just want to tell another. And they're like, shut up. So he gets off stage. I get on stage. I go, give me that microphone. I got to say it the way it was said. First one of you motherfuckers opens your mouth, I'll jump off the stage and I'll beat you to death with this microphone in front of all your friends. Yeah, we love this fucking guy. He told us to go fuck ourselves.
Yeah, head to head, perfect. State Cycle Club. They had. I remember my father had his auto shop off 8th Street in 441, right near the old, what that? Just be south of the old Lakeshore Drive-In. Lakeshore. Remember that old hotel that was in 441? But the State Cycle Club was based there. They had their clubhouse, basically in the warehouses back there. And I remember, and this is years ago, I remember when they got into it, I guess one of them, a Hell's Angels guy, went into one of the bars and the State Cycle guy beat the shit out of him. So then I remember they had 1,000 Hell's Angel guys come into fucking Margate, Florida. And I remember like all these, I remember it happening. I was like, what, this whole story about that. But it's been, you bring back memories, State Cycle Club with that. You talk about bikers. I booked Wise Guys comedy show at Goldfingers and Sunrise, University Drive near Oakland Park, right? And Cisco, big comic who used to open for Carlos Mencia many times.
Cisco. Cisco's in my movie The Bouncer.
Oh yeah, the big heavy Cisco. He's out
Mexican
of Florida.
Guy, big Mexican guy.
No, he's Dominican. He's Dominican. Heavy
well,
set.
That may be him, but I mean, he's in my movie, The Bouncer. I give him a beating.
Oh yeah, this might be a different Cisco, but this guy. So we had the Celtic Bike Club was in this club, and they were all there. And Cisco's he's a heavy dude, and there was this other bigger biker dude with no sleeves. And Cisco's, we're fat. And you know what I'm talking about. And the guy goes, "I'm not fat. You're fucking fat." all the biker guys. All the biker guys are looking at him like, "You're fucking fat, dude. He ain't fucking fat. He looks good. You look fucking fat." And it was like, oh, okay, And then it was funny because then they get up and leave, right? And so Rick Corso is a comic out of my Aventura cruise ship, plays guitar, does great impressions. He goes up. Now he doesn't realize that the mic on the stage, we're in that separate, it's like a private room in Goldfinger. That's like a event room, and the strip club is on the other. Is in a different room, but he doesn't realize that the audio is going into the lobby of the show. So Rick goes up now. Rick is skinny guy, Jewish guy. He's got a nose, and he's up there. He's playing his guitar, and he's like, "What was that guy's name? Tony? What is wrong with you, Tony? You're an asshole." Like talking about the biker dude. Now who comes back? Now who comes back into the fucking room? Tony with two of his fucking Celtic biker dudes. and meanwhile, I'm sitting in the audience going, "Oh shit! This is one of these moments. I'm gonna have to protect my goddamn guy. I'm gonna have to pull out the stops and get into a fight with the Celtic bike guys." And it was funny because the Celtic guy says, "Oh, you think you're funny? You think you're funny?" And he's in it, yeah. And the guy pushes the microphone right into fucking Rick's face, and it was like, "Oh, we avoided a pretty big tangle." But yeah, that's a pretty thing. Here's a story. Los Angeles removes traffic signs used to target and persecute gay community. Now, sometimes these stories are amazing, but in this story, you would think what traffic signs would be like against gay people, right? Like, I mean,
I have no idea what that means at all.
Well,
I have no idea. I've never seen any sign that's weird except for that one with the family crossing the street in Mexico where they're all holding each other and the kids flying. That's the only strange sign.
Well, I guess they consider the problem because this is in a gay area where guys hang out, and that no cruising, no U-turns. So in other words, gay guys will see another guy and make a U-turn, and that was considered gay. So they actually, the power of the gay community had them remove these signs for Pride Month. But it's just amazing how you can take a street sign and make it gay. Amazing story. All right, a potty mouth parrot is up for adoption. 300 people came forward for the cursing conure. I don't know if you're a bird guy. I had a buddy of mine that used to own a parrot. It was great. We were young. We thought, oh my god, it talks. But I don't know if you're a pet. You have pets, but would you like to have a parrot that spoke vulgarities?
I wouldn't want a pet that spoke vulgarities, but I would like a pet bird that could say like just a couple of things like, "Get out of my house, asshole." Just one phrase.
Yeah.
So I don't got to say it.
Yeah. This ain't your house.
$100 of those, I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. Get my gun. Get my gun, Harriet. Uh, yeah, I think if you're gonna have an animal, a parrot. I'm a big dog man. You have a dog or cat guy? What do you?
I actually have a 12-year-old boxer pit mix that's a rescue. It was Lance Bass's assistant, actually, who called me and asked if we wanted the dog because she was a sweetheart and the owner died. And and then we also had 2 rescue cats. And one of them had passed, but we still have the other one now, and she's a Russian blue.
Yeah. Since my wife passed, a lot of people are like, you should get an animal. You should have an animal when you're at home. Like, dude, I'm never home. I can't have an animal. I'm not going to get an animal. I'm
Right?
not home. You gotta be home for an animal, for God's sakes. All right. Now we're both athletes, or I should say I'm a former athlete. I take Uber for the morning paper. I'm lazy as shit. Okay. But now, the Euro Cup is going on. I love soccer. And but here's sometimes people like, who's that old referee in the NBA? He used to run a little bit. He actually raced Charles Barkley in a sprint. This older guy used to be the old like NBA ref. Well, I used to watch these guys. Sometimes people wonder, how do referees, do they warm up like professional athletes? But here's some video of how soccer referees warm up. Play it, Ben. 1, 2, 3 bad calls. 4, 5 bad calls. They're fucking with them. Look at these. You're trying to learn a back kick, Vince.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, let me ask you this. Out of all the kicks in martial arts, what do you think is the most powerful martial arts kick?
Depends who's giving it to you.
Well, assuming the same artist.
Listen, we know Muay Thai guys that can swat you one time and snap your femur. I don't care how strong you are. They're that strong. The guys will drive. You got a guy like Benny Akitas. He'll zip inside of you, hit you with an inside back kick that'll send your sternum through your back.
Oh,
so
Benny the Jet.
Death is death. No, I don't know how.
Whatever way it goes. Benny the Jet. If you've never seen Benny the Jet, had the fastest, most compact spinning back kick. Because people don't realize there's a difference between a spinning hook kick, which I think is one of the most powerful kicks because it's the heel. I was at a Taekwondo tournament in states in Florida, and the guy died. He got kicked with the spinning hook kick, and he was dead.
Oh yeah.
But the spinning back kick, it's like it's you basically turn your body and your leg just comes straight out with the heel, and it to the solar plexus is generally the best spot. But I think one of my last Taekwondo tournaments I fought in, this guy hit me with 2 of them. And you ever get, and we wore chest protectors in the continuous fighting on this Taekwondo. And I got hit with this guy. He was a black kid, big kid, like 6'3", and he hit me with this thing twice. The first time he hit me, I thought I was never going to breathe again. You ever get hit so hard in the stomach or something? You're like, all your air is gone, man. All your air is gone. So, but yeah, and now I think about this. Like I got issues in my feet, like, my knees, my shins are tight. I got all these little nerve issues. Like maybe I shouldn't have kicked all those palm trees. Maybe I should.
You know what? That is it. The detrimental stuff that we do to our body when we're young, we never think about the mileage that we're putting on it, that we're going to pay that penalty when we're older because we think we're Superman. We never think anything's ever going to catch up with us. And then all of a sudden, a certain age hits and all of a sudden things start going wrong. You're like, wait a minute. Don't you know who this is?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying I wish I would have played chess when I was younger, man, with all these these issues. Speaking of fighting, and things can get crazy in our own Congress. We had that shouting match a month or 2 ago where Margie Taylor Greene said to Crockett, the one woman from, I think she's from Chicago, Illinois, the congresswoman, like, hey, maybe you can't hear well with those fake eyelashes. And then she replied back like butch built, blonde butch built body. I don't remember what she called her. You know what I mean? But that's as bad. Not in Italy, not in Europe. These guys, these parliamentarians and look at this is in Italy. Look, this is a fight that broke out. in Parliament.
This chaotic scene on the floor of the Italian Parliament.
This is my
Yesterday, a member
flag.
of the opposition was
This is my flag.
attacked after trying to hand an
I'll kick
Italian
your
flag
ass.
to a government minister during
This
an
is my
emotional
friend. Don't
debate
hit my
over a
friend. I
bill
hit
to
you.
reform local government in that country. Well, after the scuffle, the MP.
None of those guys know how to
Disgusting,
fight. None of those guys know how to
Disgusting.
fight. Yeah.
You know,
None of those guys
I'm a-
know how to fight.
You know, my mother was in politics, and she was around Bob Dole when he ran for president. She was around Nick Navarro when he was sheriff. She was very high up into the party. And I remember the moral standards to be around them people. You couldn't curse. You couldn't say certain things. You had to be respectful. This is an assemblyman. This is a congressman. This is an alderman. These are men of respect or ladies of respect. They deserve respect. They should speak with respect. And they're representatives of us. I want to know, when you see things like that, how is they representing us?
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of, it's all falling by the wayside, you know. You watch some of the nonsense and the childishness, that we're seeing. Now I can't wait to as this show's airing at 7:00 on Thursday. 2 more hours, we're going to have the debate. Now I don't want to get into. I don't want to ask you what your political stance is, because sometimes people.
I'm a Trumper.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just want to say. Yeah. Now in the West Coast, right? Because who was it? There was an actress who just got done saying this. I'm trying to remember who it was. I just read it. That the girl who played was in The Sopranos, the blonde chick that he took out that was Chris's girlfriend. Chris's
Yeah.
girlfriend. Remember they killed her?
Drea Di Matteo.
Yeah, she just got done quoted saying there's a lot of Republicans in Hollywood, but they're not going to talk about it. They're going to be a lot more of a silent majority.
Doug, you want to hear some real deal? You want some truth?
Yeah.
I wrote a movie called The Bouncer that we shot a short of. We changed it to Wise Guy Warrior. We got some people attached to it, and a guy wanted to do the movie. So this my writing partner tells me this guy wants to meet us. He did 22 films and low budget martial arts films, but he's done 22 of them. I've heard him. He said, but he'd like to meet you, talk to you, because he thinks he can get, Scott Adkins and this other guy to play the lead and do it. This vehicle was written for me specifically to bring you somewhere, a vehicle, the way Rocky was. So when I went and sat with the guy, first thing they said to me was, he kept saying, oh, is this guy, okay, first off, this is a lawyer, 6'5", like 260 pounds, okay? Like a bowling pin, this guy, just so that you know what we're talking about. But he's an entertainment lawyer, and he's got money, and he's a Catholic Christian, but he's trying to talk like a wise guy, okay? We know wise guys. Don't pretend to be a wise guy ever, okay? That's a balloon shooter. So all of a sudden, he says to me, is he one of us? So the first thing I do when I get to that meeting, and I got the beard from shooting Black Creek. I look like a little like Mel Gibson with that beard. So he's not seeing the Italian side of what I'm trying to portray in that particular character. He's just seeing the beard in this. So now he goes, look, I said, you keep asking my friend if I'm one of you. What are you talking about? What do you mean when you say that? Because where I come from, that has a lot of meanings. And he says, well, are you, where you from? When a guy tells you where you're from, it's like when a guy from South Compton asks you where you're from, and I'm from East Side, 8th Street, 0, you know what I mean? So you say, where you from? I go, I'm from Arthur Avenue in the Bronx. Where you from? He goes, I'm from Long Island. I go, yeah, my grandmother lived in Levittown. Okay, now that we're past that bunch of shit, what do you mean when you say, are you one of us? He goes, well, are you a Trumper? Are you a Trumper? I said, what are you whispering for? He goes, no, you don't understand out here. I go, you're exactly the problem. You. Because you got your head down, scared of those people. I said, are you a Christian? He said, yeah. I said, then what do you got to be afraid of? You got the man with you. Don't worry about it. Be loud, be proud. He said, well, they won't let me in the Academy of Martial Arts, Motion Picture Martial Arts because of my views. I said, so they're already telling you no. Why do you keep bowing down to them?
Yeah.
Just go out and make a great movie.
Yeah. Listen to Steve Martin, be undeniable, and they'll have to accept you either way.
That's it.
That we've seen that in comedy. I've seen great comics that they're not political on stage, and but on their social media they'll share their opinions, and comedy clubs won't book them. And I've had that with a couple clubs, particularly a couple club owners, and it was funny. I posted a comment on somebody's Facebook thing, and this one comedy club owner who I basically told him, I said, dude, I know you're not booking me because last 3 times I was at your club I crushed. So now you're just not booking me because of my ideology, And I said, that's, if you can live with that, I guess that's fine, And and this guy was like, instead of just being politically like debate and I don't agree with you, but this guy was like calling me this, he was calling me racist, he's calling all kinds of shit, and I go, hey, I can go to you, I can come to your fucking club, I can go there, I can show up, and I could be there, and then you can fucking say that to me, right? You like, if I show up, if I was standing in front of you, would you still have the balls to say these things to me? Would you still call me a racist? Would you still call me all this fucking bullshit? Because if you did, it'd be it'd be different, because I'm not going to just sit there and let you say these things without getting in your face and perhaps maybe even bitch slapping you. So nevertheless,
I understand, buddy. You have something that other people don't realize is that when you get your information from the newspaper and the news, and everything's propaganda. There is no more news anymore. Forget that. This is all made up shit. We have military contact. We have military. We know a lot of stuff, and we know a lot of people. And we know a lot about what's going on that nobody has any idea. So when I watch these morons talking about something, they don't have a clue to what they're talking about, but they're so undeniably passionate that they're angry about something. They don't know what it is. I got a niece that works for the biggest gaming company in the world, Blizzard. She says, you people with capitalism are killing everything. What do you think video games come under? It's called capitalism.
Yeah.
But because you're a moron and a mental midget, and you've been so indoctrinated by these other mental midgets that you think it's truth. And the truth of the matter is, once you believe something and you've been so brainwashed into it, it can't be anything else. Empirical evidence, empirical truth, they still don't believe you. Even when you bring them empirical evidence that in court would slam any case, they can't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I find it amazing when you get into these debates with people and they start saying like, oh, why don't you stop watching Fox? I'm like one guy, I said, hey dude, I'm a licensed fiduciary. I make $1 million decisions every day. I can assure you,
there you go.
My knowledge and my intake of knowledge is not, is not finite or finite. It's, I'm looking for a broad, I look at everything, dude. Before I make a decision, I'm going to weigh everything out. So don't, and it's amazing the people that make these assumptions, right? They'll read one word in a social media post and they know everything about you. I remember saying to somebody years ago, I said, hey, I've known my wife for 20 something years. I still don't know her yet. You, on one sentence, have given a complete, psychological profile of my character from 2 fucking sentences. So it's interesting. I think it's interesting. I can only hope that we have a change here in November, because let's face it, we all know Biden can't make it 4 more years. I mean, come on. Let's be honest.
He hasn't made it 3 years.
Exactly.
Come on, man. Come on. You know,
All right, here
at
we're
the
gonna.
end of the day, at the end of the world, we'll be known for telling the truth and not going along with the crowd and not being a sheep, just like not taking the vax. That all these, I got tons of friends that are sick and are dropping dead like flies. The only common denominator was this vax. That everybody that they were telling us we were all the bad guys.
Yeah, remember that? It's the unvaccinated that are, and all this shit.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. All right, let's play a quick game. We got a couple minutes here. It's called Let's Associate. I'm going to give you a word or phrase. You tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Something pretty quick, silly, whatever you want to do. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, poser. Poser.
Guys in the gym on their phone, sitting there doing their freaking tapping on a phone, and the girl, they stay on a machine for 30 minutes. They do one set, and then you say, "You got how many more you got to go?" And they go, "Only 3 more."
Yeah, I hate it. Favorite dish.
Covers a lot of territory. I would say uh, a porterhouse steak.
Nice. Bad decisions.
Allowing somebody that doesn't has never stepped on the mat before to make an opinion in martial arts and allow their opinion to have a saying.
Second to last one, childhood memory.
Watching my dad slap the cowboy hat off a guy that was a pedophile that was bothering a girl, and that hat is still rolling 20 years later. That was a great moment.
Isn't that the greatest thing when you I remember in that same shop where my father used to rent his dentist auto repair. I remember a tow truck guy called my dad a spick one time. And my dad, I resemble my father body wise. He was 5'9", just thick, he's all these tough guys would try to arm wrestle him. He was an auto mechanic. He used to, that strength,
Gorilla.
Yeah, and I remember this big guy, big redneck dude, and the pic says, "You fucking spick." And my mom was in the car. I'm in the passenger seat. My dad hit the guy. He flew over the front of the car. He flew over the car, and he landed on the other side of the car.
Good for him.
And lastly, my oldest possession.
My oldest possession is a crucifix from my mother.
Yeah, what good Italian boy doesn't have one of them, right? St. Christopher medal.
Do we have 30 seconds to tell you a story?
Yeah.
My mother died in the kitchen in Florida. Dropped dead. She made pasta, put in a bowl, and then dropped dead. She was gone at 62 years old. Never got a chance to say goodbye. Nothing. Maybe about 6 weeks ago, my wife usually works in the back bedroom where she's a remote worker, and she got the 2 screens there and she does her job, but she doesn't have to go into the office. So usually she's here. That day she decided to go do something with her son, and I was here alone in my house. So I do my prayers, do my meditation, my thanks, and all of a sudden I say, I'm going to make myself a little breakfast. I go in the kitchen and I tell Siri to play Motown, old Motown. So a couple of Motown songs come on, and then when I go then right as I'm turning the stove on, all of a sudden I get this feeling comes about me. It's insane, like warm, really warm, and the rhythm of the night from El DeBarge. That music starts. You know how in the beginning it's like very calypso, dun, 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 dun. So it's setting up this thing, and I'm like, oh, and then all of a sudden, Doug, if I'm not telling the God's absolute truth, which is why I'm going to tell you never to be afraid of anything ever again, because it's just a doorway. My mother appeared in the kitchen in translucent form. I could see through her, and I could see the counter. I could only see from her knees up, her torso, and her arms were to here. I couldn't see fingers, but the hands. And she had the white glow around her. And she's looking at me, smiling. She's not talking with her mouth, but she's talking in my head to me. And she says to me, Vinny, dance this song with me. Don't you remember when you used to be my dance partner at weddings and bars, and when you had the nightclub, you used to let me come and we dance together? Dance this song with me. Doug, I'm in an emotional state that I can't explain. I'm crying like a little baby. I can't explain what was happening. All of a sudden, I dance that song. I'm dancing with my mom, and I'm like, this is the greatest moment ever. And then the phone rings, and it's my wife, who's also super connected. She says to me, are you okay? I said, what do you mean? She goes, I felt you. What's going on? I said, you're not going to believe it. My mother just appeared in the kitchen, and I danced the song with her. She goes, you couldn't see her feet, could you? I said, how could you possibly feel that? She said, because when my dad died, I had the same kind of circumstance. I didn't get a chance, and he came back, and I had the same experience. 2 other people I talked to have had the exact same experience. Then I went and did homework on it. So the reason I want to share this with you, Doug, and this is God talking to me to tell this just to you right now for you, don't be surprised if your wife doesn't materialize and come and see you for the love that you had for her. Believe me.
Thanks,
It's just
buddy,
a doorway,
yeah.
buddy. It's just a doorway.
Yeah.
But I was not prepared. Wait. Had that happened 6 months ago, a year ago, before with my wife, with this, where I've done some education now, I would see something floating, glowing. I'd shoot at it. The kid, what is that? That's a ghost. Right?
God, yeah.
But it was the most greatest feeling.
I bet. I just remember after everybody, my wife's family left when she passed, and I was in this house by myself. I remember sitting on the couch, just sitting in the chair by myself, and I put my head back, and I swear I heard her voice say,
Yes.
now do what you need to do. And
Yes.
a few weeks leaving after that, I was playing some stupid game on my computer, and there's like a monkey civilization game, whatever. And I'm like looking at this thing, and I'm like, why am I in this map all the way outside the center of the city in this stupid game? And I heard my wife go, you're an unprivileged monkey. I swear to God, her voice came out, and like I looked over, like if she said it, I was like, and I remember just being in shock. So by all means,
How do you know she didn't?
well, that's what I'm saying. I heard it. I didn't think it.
It's just a veil. She's right there.
Yeah.
You just can't
I didn't
see
think
her.
it. No, I didn't think it. I didn't, you know what I mean? It just, I'm like, and I remember it hit me like, holy shit, But anyway, it's been awesome seeing you, my friend, Vinny. And God bless you, my friend, and everything you do and stand for. And what's coming up? Anything coming up? Anything we can be looking forward to?
Sure. August 3rd is Dragon Fest. I'm teaching a seminar and got a booth, and Benny Urquidez, Don Wilson, Kathy Long, and myself are doing 4 seminars. And then that's at the that's at the Glendale Auditorium, Dragon Fest 2024, Glendale Auditorium, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Then on September 7th, I'm being inducted to the Bare Knuckle Bodyguard Hall of Fame with
Awesome.
Don Fry, Dan Severn, Dr. Goldman, Cynthia Rothrock, and Rick Drazen's getting an After the Bell postmortem award for the wrestling world.
Wow.
And then Black Creek, I saw the trailer already. It's going to be like the Big Brawl. It is the most outrageous martial arts Western ever. It's like, what is that thing called? The Hateful Eight. It was really like that, really rough.
Oh, yeah.
Cynthia does a spectacular job, but I play Earl, the saloon owner, and that saloon is where we shot the outlaw Josie Wales and Tombstone. It's the Oriental Lounge from Tombstone. I own it.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So I got some really great scenes. That's coming out October 9th. 2 premieres, one in Los Angeles and one in Las Vegas.
Perfect. All right. Well, there you go. Everybody, my good friend, martial arts expert, actor, just all around good guy, Vinny Cecere. What's up, buddy? Thanks for coming out and doing the show. And for all of you who have not, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. at Wake Up Late with Dougie show, and we have a Wake Up Dougie on X, and of course we have a Twitter, Instagram at Wake Up Late with Dougie show. Don't forget to follow me and all that at Dougie Dangerous, and go to Dougie Almeida. It's got a bunch of stuff this coming up, and come see me, come have some laughs. God bless you all. Stay well, and we'll see you next time right here at the same spot.